Hey guys, welcome back to another Monday recap Premier League fixture stream. If you guys have like a cool name for this weekly series, that would be so appreciated because I am absolutely terrible with coming up with these things. So if you guys have any ideas, like let us know. But we're back. We're gonna do this every Monday. Kendall, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going quite well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. Like recovering from the work day. You know how it
Yeah, yeah,
is. So it's just like, it's just like go, go, go during the week. And during the weekend, it's a lot of football stuff, but it's
yeah.
good to be busy. Really crazy fixtures this weekend, right?
Yeah, there's been some really good ones. And like next week's show should be crazy because obviously there's Chelsea Man City, there's Arsenal, Tottenham, North London Derby. So yeah, next week should even be way more interesting than this weekend, considering this weekend was really good as well. So yeah.
I know it's absolutely insane. Shout out to everybody that's joined already. Thanks so much for joining. You rock. Really appreciate it. So I want to start off talking about the first game of the week, which was Newcastle Leeds. Obviously, Newcastle is your team. I have to say, like, I was not expecting so much from this game. But it was end to end, especially in the first half. I was like, this is surely going to end like 4-4. What were you thinking?
Yeah, do you know, obviously we spoke like last week and I said I just wasn't looking forward to any of our games because I just thought we were going to just get battered pretty much every single game. I was really surprised at how we played, especially the first half, because when I rewatched highlights, because I wasn't actually at the game, normally I would be, and I wasn't at the game on Friday, and when I watched the highlights and match of the day, I was so shocked at how much it looked like we were on top for like parts of the game, which shocked me completely. I know Leeds were obviously, they had injuries and a couple of their players were missing, like their main players. Obviously, the red card as well, they didn't get that rescinded, so he's out now for 3 games, Pascal Strike. So, yeah, I was really shocked. I'm upset that we didn't actually win the game because I thought we probably could have. Joe Linton had a couple of chances, which he probably should have put away. Same with Leeds, so that it could have honestly gone either way. You're absolutely right. So yeah, it was a nice way to start the weekend off, and it's it's a point for us, which is everything at this stage. We still haven't won, but at least it's a point.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna try to open my door. I'm really sorry. My wife absolute crap right now. So let me see if that helps. Um, if not, I'll have to change rooms. But yeah, I was really surprised. I thought that's a maximum like looked really strong as well. He got his goal obviously, but I was really impressed. I mean, the game was just so incredibly open, and we know that Leeds are a team that tend to play more attackingly, but I was really impressed with Newcastle's fight and spirit. I felt like they really went for it in this game. So, do you think that is a positive sign? Like maybe things could be moving in the right direction?
That game showed us that it is there, and there's no reason why we can't try and play with that intensity and that drive every single game. Even against Manchester United, I thought we didn't actually play that badly in the first half, especially. It was just, a couple of defensive mistakes and goalkeeping mistakes that ended up costing us the game big time. So, yeah, it is there. It's just, a coach who's going to bring it out of them and the players to have the passion. So, fingers crossed, we can build on this result and go forward, hopefully, because we've got Watford and Wolves next. So, they should be games that we're trying to win, especially because they're like teams that are around us. So, we'll soon see.
I feel like you guys can do it. I feel like you can. We have like a lot of people who are loving our like link up the combo. Thanks so much, guys. Steven says, good to see you both, especially Kendall. You always stand your ground, which is so nice. Robbie says, Ellie Kendall back with another fire show. Yeah, St. Maximum is a baller. Should definitely get a move ASAP. Are you worried that he's going to get a move to like a top 6 club, or what are you thinking?
The thing with St. Maximin is his end product. I know obviously he scored at the weekend, but his end product actually it's not at the level of the rest of his game as an attacker. So I think that's maybe why he's not at a top 6 club, if you will, at this point in time. I do think that he is the most tangible asset that we have hold of, though, so that concerns me, because if we are still struggling by January and anyone's looking to buy someone, he's going to be the standout player that people are going to come in for. And it's like, when people say, oh, he deserves better than Newcastle, I understand where they're coming from in terms of like a club that succeeds and, you know, plays better football and has European football even. But I honestly think, like, if we were a successful club, he's loved now and he loves the fans. So I think, like, it's not necessarily like bigger than the club. It's just, I understand what people are trying to say in terms of he deserves better football, which I do agree with, definitely.
It's so hard. Like when we had Eden Hazard, they're just always like people trying to poach him. Eventually, he went to Real Madrid, and yeah, that is it. It's sad how it's worked out for him. The fans don't appreciate him here, like like us Chelsea fans do. It's really sad. But Robbie said, Kendall, thoughts on Joelinton?
You know, I think he's had a tough time. We signed him as a striker, and he's not a number 9. I think we've seen that categorically over the last 2 years. For me, his best attributes are as a winger or a central forward midfielder. Not necessarily a 10, just a little bit deeper than a 10. And if he plays there, he looks better, like he did at the weekend. He looked a lot better last week. I think his holding play in the middle of the park's quite good. So for me, I think there is elements that he can improve on, and there is elements of a player there. Probably not ever a £40 million player. Let's just get that out of the way. And that's not necessarily his fault about the price tag. But yeah, I do think if there was a coach that was more forward thinking and understood the modern game a little bit better, I think that he would probably improve more.
That's interesting, because we have a comment from Steven, and Steven says Bruce should learn from the last 2 games that attack is definitely the best form of defense. When Newcastle commit bodies forward, they can be dangerous. So what would you describe? I don't watch Newcastle week in, week out. What would you describe their playing style is, and how do you think that maybe they need to adapt a bit in order to be more modern, as you said?
Yeah, it's definitely, we are very defensive. We have played very defensive we even played defensive under Rafa Benitez, but that was because it was more organised, reliable defensive football, whereas now we just we have to defend because we are set up so poorly in formation. We've got all of the attacking players at our disposal. We've got Almiron, we've got St. Maximin, Callum Wilson, you know, Joelinton, if you put him in there, Joe Willock. And we can, as Stephen says, we can commit those bodies forward. So it will just be about a coach who sets up the defence a little bit better, because when we go 5 at the back with like 3 centre backs, it doesn't necessarily work. I think 4 at the back is better for us because it's more fixed. And so I do think that a more, not necessarily a modern coach, but a more forward thinking coach would be able to set up the team in a better way to utilise what we've got.
Yep. No, I totally understand that. And that kind of brings us to talk about Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel. And yes, Matic, she's a Newcastle supporter. I'm a Chelsea supporter, as you can see from like the flag back here. But we're trying to do like a general Premier League show to expand past just star clubs. So speaking, since I'm a Chelsea fan, you know, I have to talk about Chelsea and how we won the London Derby against Tottenham 3-0. That was Chelsea's 6th away London Derby win in a row, which is new record, you guys, in case you didn't know. Absolutely insane. But as a neutral supporter, I want to get your thoughts about the game before I delve into it a bit.
I thought the first half, you guys didn't play that well. Didn't play badly. It just wasn't like the Chelsea that I was expecting to go into this fixture. And obviously, when, I know you'll get onto it shortly, but when Tuchel made the tactical change with Kante and things like that, it just completely blew the game out of the water then, and you looked really, really good after that. And I said this last week, I just cannot see anybody at this current time who will get past you guys. I just don't see it. Rudiger again is just amazing. Honestly, his rebirth under Tuchel has been insane. Like, honestly, so insane. He's one of the most improved players I've seen over the last 2 years at Chelsea. so crazy. And he looked really good again. You know, I can't see anyone at this current time beating you guys at all. I really can't.
Yeah, Stephen agrees with you. He says whoever, if anybody, finishes above Chelsea this season will be champions. Your Blues 100% the team to be.
Yeah.
And I think like what I really am appreciating right now is that last year I felt like we weren't playing well, but we wouldn't get results either. So we would lose a game stupidly, or oh my God, do you see the lights like flashing, or is it just me? Um, or we would have a draw, we would concede a goal, and that's the kind of thing that you're not really seeing that much this season. Like Chelsea's defense is looking very strong, and even though I don't feel in any of these games the team has really gotten out of second gear, like I feel like we've looked strong, but we don't look our absolute best. We're still winning games by 3-0, which is crazy because last season we weren't scoring goals at all, and this season we're starting to score goals. Last season we were averaging about a goal a game, and now we have 2-3-0 wins back to back. And what I like about Thomas Tuchel, you guys, is that he put out a starting 11. He realized that the midfield was getting overrun. I saw this really great tactical thread today, Carefree Tactics, on Twitter, in case you guys are like a nerd like me and interested in that stuff, about how Tottenham's game plan set up to kind of pin 2 players to each Chelsea player so that Chelsea didn't have space to move forward, and then they could take advantage and then like try to create an overload on the defense. And that's why we saw that the first half that Tottenham had a lot of chances and Chelsea really couldn't string together passes because they cut the passing lanes essentially. But bring on N'Golo Kante, the game absolutely changes. And I love that Thomas Tuchel doesn't wait until the 60th minute or the 70th minute. He just brings him on at halftime because he knows that he needs to make a change and it's not working. So do you think that that's one of his major strengths for this season, is his ability to adapt and maybe his tactical knowledge that it seems like he can't be out tacticked? That's not a word, but I'm making it a word.
I know what you mean. I think the thing with Tuchel is that he's very much in control. And the problem with the likes of, I'm just going to use Ollie, for example, at Manchester United. He isn't in control if his game plan doesn't go to plan, the first plan that he has. If his plan A goes wrong, he's not in control then, because he doesn't know how to then affect the game in a positive manner. So the thing with Tuchel, he is so in control of every element of that team. He's so in control of the tactics. He's in control of the personnel. He's in control of exactly how he wants that game to play out. And I think that is so crucial, as we saw at the weekend, when the game isn't maybe going the way you thought, that he knows, he has the knowledge and the control to take initiative and just completely change it. So, it's great. And I honestly can't even imagine how it must feel to have a manager that you just trust categorically, like from top to bottom, because he's really, in all honesty, he's never really stepped a foot wrong. I know the West Brom result last season wasn't, maybe the best, but he's never really stepped a foot wrong as Chelsea manager yet. You've never had something happen where you thought, that wasn't right. And when there was, like, for example, Saul last week, when he started Saul, he came out and held his hands up and apologized and said, it was completely my fault and I shouldn't have done that. And that's just everything to me. And honestly, I think Chelsea right now are just a force in world football. Honestly, I can't even think of a bad word to say about Chelsea at the moment. It's actually so insane. It really is insane.
I'm sat here blushing because I love it. It feels like it's been a while, because even when Chelsea were competing, like we last won a Premier League in 2016-17, but it felt like we were competing for a year and then we'd fall off, and then we'd compete again for a year and then we'd fall off again, and it just never felt consistent. We were constantly changing manager. Fingers crossed that stops, because I think everybody is enamored by Thomas Tuchel. But I just felt like for a couple of years now, even if we do end up winning a trophy at the end of the season, like a Europa League, like an FA Cup, we somehow always end up winning something. But I feel like we haven't been competitive in the Premier League for quite a few years, probably like 5 years now. So to feel that we're competing again is absolutely is a really great feeling. Nick says we killed Tottenham, should have been 6 or 7. Yeah, if we were more clinical, could have perfectly been 6 or 7. And that's scary to think about. I think that you have a team that could have put 6 past Tottenham and they're not even at their best yet. So Kendall, who do you think? Do you think that Chelsea, is it their Premier League title to lose? Maybe this is premature, guys. Maybe it's premature, but do you think that they're the front runners? Because it feels like we haven't gotten out of the like second gear. We already have beat Arsenal away, Tottenham away, Aston Villa as well, and then we have City coming up. So if we can get a result, that's massive.
Yeah, I just think, as I said, I can't see anyone beating you guys at the moment because you are just so well drilled and well coached. Obviously, it is premature. You know, this time last season, Man City were like 8th in the league. They'd lost a couple and they weren't looking great, and they went on to win the league. But the thing with Man City, I think what is going to come back to bite them is the fact that they haven't signed a striker in the summer. Yes, last season, fair enough, they didn't need a striker. That's okay. But they had that option in Aguero. They had him there if they needed to. This season, they haven't got that. They didn't register a shot on target against Southampton at the weekend, which is crazy, like crazy for a Man City team. So, yeah, I think that's why, in my opinion, you guys are favourites. Manchester United, I've always kind of backed Ollie a little bit. And I've always said, I think people are harsh on him. But when I've watched their games this season, it's like they win from individual brilliance rather than being well coached, and that sometimes runs out. Your luck runs out in terms of that. I don't think Liverpool have the squad to compete. I think they have the first 11 to compete, but not the squad. So yeah, I think that you have to be favourites, but that's also a scary thing as a fan to be a favourite. I mean, we've never been favourites for anything, but as a fan to be a favourite, it's like kind of people are waiting on the downfall. So I just hope that obviously doesn't happen and you guys keep going, because I mean there's no point in me being bothered about someone who's going to win the league because we're not. So I may as well just be like, maybe I'll be non-biased and just like rational thinking and go from that way.
I appreciate it because the thing that I'm worried about being completely, I don't know what the word is, not like transparent, but like as a rational fan, not just saying, oh, we're definitely going to win it because whatever. Like I do feel like we struggle to break down low block sides, and that's something that you find consistently in the Premier League. But yeah, it's going pretty well for Chelsea. The thing that has got me happy is that we have the same amount of points as Liverpool, but we played harder teams than they have. So in a couple of games when they play teams in the top 6, we can kind of see. But you brought up Man City. I wanted to talk about that. 0-0 versus Southampton. It feels like they could score 5 or 6 goals and then they're going on to have these like super weird ties. Like, what do you think is going on there?
Yeah, I mean, the game against Southampton, they just weren't great. They just could not, for some reason, break Southampton down. To be fair, Manchester United also only got a draw against Southampton. They struggled as well. So maybe Southampton's going to be a couple of bogey teams this season. But they just didn't look great. They didn't look like, I know obviously they've had midweek fixtures and, Southampton haven't, but the likes of yourselves, the likes of, well, I was going to say Tottenham, but obviously not. The likes of yourselves, the likes of Manchester United, who have also had midweek fixtures and then gone on to, win their games at the weekend. So you can't really make that an excuse. They lost against Tottenham as well, first weekend of the season. So, yeah, they're going to have to figure out a way, of how they're going to play. I'm not entirely sure what's going wrong, but they've had a little bit of a club meltdown this week. The fans are now on Pep's back, which is insane. I don't know how you could ever be on Pep Guardiola's back, but yeah, having a little bit of a beginning of the season wobble, let's put it like that.
Do you think it was like all that stuff in the media about Pep being like, oh, we really need the fans to come and support us, and then there was like it became this whole media thing? Do you think they could influence that game at all, or maybe we're just not giving enough credit to Southampton and they had a really solid defensive performance as well?
Yeah, I only caught like an extensive highlights of the game, so I don't really know what particularly went wrong. But yeah, I think that obviously plays on the mind because a team like Man City, who has been so successful in recent years, like their manager coming out and begging fans to come, like, it doesn't look good, and it just doesn't look good in the media, like, or to other fans, because they've always been beaten with the stick that, you know, they're a plastic club and the plastic fans and no one turns up. And then for your manager to come out and like basically admit that, it's like, oh my days, why have you just done that?
And then he kept talking about it too. It was like, why are you still talking about this?
It went so dramatic. It was so dramatic for something that did not need to be dramatic. Like, it was just a little bit crazy. But yeah, I think they'll I don't know who they have. Oh, you guys at the weekend. So, you know, this may be, I honestly think you can beat them at the weekend. I really do. I think it'll obviously be a close game because you're probably well matched in terms of the way that he's a coach and tactically set up. But you have the manpower and, you know, Lukaku and things like that. So yeah, I think you can beat them at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because last year we played them 3 times in the space of like 6 weeks, in the FA Cup, in the Prem, and then in the Champions League final. And when I was like, surely we're not going to beat them 3 times in a row. Like, this just isn't going to happen. And you saw every time Pep didn't know how to deal with Tuchel. Really, the first game he had 2 DMs, then the next game he had 1 DM, then in the Champions League final he didn't play a DM. So he's kind of like constantly tweaking the system to see how he can break down this Chelsea side. And it seems like he hasn't found the formula yet. Chelsea look good, but inside my mind, I'm like, surely can we beat them 4 times in a row? Like, is that possible? Is that going to happen?
Yeah,
like, I don't know.
I think it genuinely is. I honestly think it is. I think the thing with Pep is he's not used to coming up against a manager who is as tactically minded as he is, because Pep is all about the tactics, you know, like he's very specific in how he wants his team to play, which is why a lot of people were worried about the Grealish signing, because they thought that Grealish wouldn't be able to, you know, show his individual brilliance in terms of do what Grealish does. But I think he has brought elements to that, and Pep's improved his game as well. So I think he just doesn't know how to deal with a mind as tactical as his. I think he's like concerned that you know, his tactics are going to match up to Tuchel's, and I think that's a problem. Same with, he overthinks things all the time, like the Champions League. He's overthought the Champions League for the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, and he just struggles, and I think that's part of the problem, because really, apart from Tuchel and Pep, there's not really a tactically minded manager of that level. You can maybe argue Klopp, but of that level in the league. So yeah, I think that's maybe why.
And I honestly couldn't tell you who's going to play. We have a question from Hassan. He said, Ellie, do you see Tuchel having Conte, Kovac, and Jorginho starting against City next weekend? Because that was the midfield 3 that we played in the second half that like dominated Spurs. They were brilliant in that second half yesterday. And the answer is, I really have no idea. Like, we totally could. I mean, we have the cup game versus Aston Villa on Wednesday, so I think we're going to see maybe a lot of rotation for that game to rest players for the City game. But I mean, I just feel like Mason Mount hasn't looked great this season. He hasn't been the same player. I think he's going to come into his best. He is very he has like a very strong mentality. He'll just get his head down and work. But after seeing him versus Tottenham, I don't really see Mason starting necessarily. And I don't know. I thought like, if you have, at least this is my opinion, if N'Golo Kante is fit, you probably should play N'Golo Kante, because he's the best like central defender midfielder in the world. He's the best at what he does. There's no position for him. He's just the best and so freaking unique. So you play him. And Kovacic has been brilliant as well. He already has like 3 or 4 assists in 5 games. It's ridiculous. Like, coming from this guy who never had a goal contribution in like 2 years, and all of a sudden he's adding it to his game. And then we know what Jorginho brings as well. So I don't know, Kendall, what do you think? Like, neutral fan, do you start these 3 players? Because we had started them together before under previous managers, and it did not work. There was no creativity. But under Tuchel, it seems like it's working.
Yeah. as I've said a million times, you guys trust in Tuchel, whatever he does, it'll make a change, and it's like, okay, he obviously has a vision for the game. Totally, Conte's got to start for me. If I was like a Chelsea manager, he'd always be one of the first names on the team sheet for me, depending on what game you're going to play. Again, like Rudiger, the rebirth of Kovacic is just crazy. He's looked like a completely different player lately. Hopefully he's consistent with it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. I think the good thing about you guys is that you've basically got another second 11 who can probably beat Aston Villa in the cup. So obviously the Man City game is going to be the most important. You really want to, go into that and kind of assert your dominance for the league. So yeah, I think he's got a few decisions to make at the weekend, but hopefully he makes the right ones.
He usually does, and if he doesn't, he ends up fixing them. And honestly, this man could put Marcus Alonso at striker, and I would not question. I feel like this makes sense. The man has a wicked left foot. It makes sense. Robbie asked Ellie, "Who's back for Lukaku if he's missing a game?" And I think. And sorry, I'm just going through the comments, so I haven't. We're kind of more Chelsea focused now. But I think he didn't have a great game yesterday versus Tottenham. I didn't think he played fantastic, but we had two defenders and N'Golo Kante score. So people are stepping up, and we're seeing that it doesn't just have to be pass to Lukaku, hope that he holds up the ball well and then passes it to somebody to get a shot, or that he takes the shot himself. With Chelsea have other players that can play and can score goals. Maury goes, Alonso's Tottenham's nightmare almost got his goal, never mind an assist. I don't know about you, Kendall, but I find it so hilarious, how this man has terrorized Tottenham for the past 5 years.
It's always one of those players, isn't it? In every team that always has a fantastic game. Danny Ings always scores against us, no matter who he's playing for, what team, he always scores against us. And I'll just think to myself, you may as well bet every single time that's going to happen, because it is guaranteed to happen. Matt and Alonso's the same. Honestly, it's just crazy. Obviously, Tottenham's his team, his favorite team to play.
I know, it's so funny. You could see yesterday in the game that he was trying really hard to get his annual goal versus Tottenham. He almost got it so many times. I was like, oh damn it, come on, Alonso, get your goal. Guys, thanks so much for the love in the comments. Yeah, if you like this video, drop it a like. Why not? It supports us and helps people to find the channel and watch the stream as well, which is super cool. Thank you so much, George. Thank you, Rafael. Really, really appreciate it. And hola, si hablas español, hola. Oh, somebody say Kendall.
Is that Hussam? I think it is.
Is it? This is football.
Yeah, I think it's Hussam.
I'm just going through the comments. So says, do you think Lukaku and Werner should start together? Against Man City, why not? I mean, Havertz hasn't played well. Mount hasn't played well. Timo Werner actually looks like he's been playing pretty well. He's not scoring goals. He still looks a little bit hesitant in front of goal, I think. But he's opening up spaces. He got a good assist at the weekend, and he's really fast. I mean, he's really fast. It seems like they have a chemistry together. So personally, I could see it. But I could also see Werner starting against Aston Villa because he hasn't started. So I'm glad that I'm not the one who's making this decision, because I just go back and forth, who do you rotate? Who do you rest? How do you decide what is done with these players? I could go on. I have no idea. But yeah, hello everybody. Wow, we're getting so many comments. I can't keep up with them, guys.
Maybe that's crazy, because sometimes you scroll and it takes you right to the bottom, and then you don't know where you're at with the comments. I hate it when it does that. I hate it.
I know. Chicken Way says, "Why do you talk about Chelsea?" Well, I'm a Chelsea fan, dude, and we have a lot of Chelsea fans watching, and so a lot of the comments are Chelsea, and I try to respond to as many comments as possible, so it tends to get a little Chelsea focused. But okay, let's move on to some other game. I'm just going to pull up the Premier League fixtures to see if there's anything alarming. Oh well, Arsenal got their second win of the season, 1-0 versus Burnley. um, Step in the right direction potentially for Arsenal. How do you feel about them?
I don't know how to feel about them because you look at that game and you probably actually, to be fair, it was at Turf Moor, so maybe they weren't expecting them to beat Burnley, but I just think maybe going at that game they probably were expected to. I really thought they would struggle actually because Burnley play a low block usually. Arsenal haven't been that forthcoming with the goals or with the attack this season so far, so I thought they might struggle. But it's a win on the board. That's all you need to kickstart your season. They've got the North London derby this weekend, which is hugely important to them. They always seem to do pretty well in the North London derby, so and it is, I think it's at the Emirates, isn't it? So yeah, it is at the Emirates as well. So you'd be hoping, if you're an Arsenal fan, to go into that game and win again. So as I said, it just takes that one win and it can just kickstart another set of results. I think I was talking to someone on a stream yesterday who was an Arsenal fan. I can't remember who it was now. And they said that I'm sure if they beat Tottenham at the weekend, they're actually on the same points as Tottenham, which is
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because you're like, all right. But then you forget it's so early in the season still, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like Arsenal and Tottenham are. I feel like maybe I'm a little bit biased because Arsenal had such a bad start to the
Yeah.
season that I'm like, wow, they really have had a bad start. But then Tottenham had an okay start, but now they're kind of like plateauing a bit. Two back-to-back 3-0 losses against Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Arsenal just have two 1-0 wins, so I don't feel like either side is like really looking fantastic. So I guess this is a really big game for both teams, but who do you think has the edge in that fixture?
Honestly, surprisingly, I think it's Arsenal for me. They normally seem to do pretty well in North London derbies, especially at the Emirates. So you would really think that they were going into that game just solely to win. So I think Arsenal might just steal it. Might be a little clutch goal or whatever. I don't think it's going to be a goal fest game or anything like that because I don't really think either side have the facilities in their team to score lots of goals.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tottenham aren't playing great football at the moment under Nuno. So yeah, I think Arsenal might edge it for me.
I can't help but feel like Harry Kane, at least in a Chelsea game from what I saw, he looked like dejected. He didn't look like he was really fighting. He didn't look like he was like trying to win the ball back, trying to defend. He didn't ever look like scoring. And I feel like maybe he's just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I don't know, like something's going on. Probably like it must be hard to think, oh, I'm going to get transferred. I'm going to get transferred. The entire summer transfer rumors going on, having to squash them. And I think he was probably pretty close, or maybe closer than any of us really know, to moving to Man City, for example, and then just to have that move fall apart. So do you think that Tottenham can still perform without the legs of Harry Kane? I think he had like something crazy, like 15 goals and 15 assists last season, like something absolutely ridiculous.
That's the problem. Honestly, I just don't understand why they didn't let him go. I know it's like almost a case of, well, how can we replace Harry Kane? Especially, it was towards the end of the window as well, so that was a problem because at that time there was minimal people available. Lukaku had gone to Chelsea. We didn't know Ronaldo was leaving at the time. Messi not that Messi would be going to Tottenham. I mean, I don't know, but probably unlikely. Messi, had gone to PSG, and there was not that many people available. Haaland had obviously said he wasn't leaving till next summer. So there wasn't that many strikers available at that time. So, but still, £150 million to a club that like Tottenham, who really need to actually rebuild their squad and get to
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Phone calls do that, even though I have it on Do Not Disturb. Anyways, yeah, so they just needed that money to rebuild, and they're never going to get 150 million for Harry Kane again, especially if his head is in the place that it's in now. They're never going to get 150 million pound from him again. He's going to be 29 years old next season, or towards the end of the season, actually. And it's just not going to happen. So, in my opinion, I think they were absolutely stupid not to take that money at the time.
Yeah, I mean, even if I think maybe they wanted him for another season to compete, and maybe they didn't have a replacement necessarily lined up, and so they said, well, we can't get rid of him. But for that money, you're probably better off just taking the money and then trying to get through until next season. So I said he's already playing for City in his head. Yeah, it really feels like that. I feel for her that he didn't get the transfer because he is like one of the best strikers in the world. But yeah, it feels like without him, Tottenham are definitely struggling. Maybe also, just that general mood, like that all contributes to the dressing room as well. So it's really interesting. Ravi said, can Liverpool win a trophy this season? This is interesting. They just beat was it Crystal Palace? Yeah, it was Crystal Palace. 3-0. And interestingly enough, Chelsea and Liverpool have the exact same wins.
Yes.
If you look at all of the fixtures, they have the exact same score lines. And the only reason why Chelsea are above them in the Premier League table right now is because they go to head, which was away at Liverpool. And since it was a tie, but Chelsea played away, we're above them in the table. But Liverpool looking pretty strong. It seems, Mane got another goal, Salah got another goal. But the thing that I question about Liverpool is that I just don't feel like they have that much squad depth. I feel like they have a very strong starting 11. Their starting 11 is absolutely elite. But if somebody gets injured, like we saw last season, Van Dijk gets injured, they really struggle to handle that. And if anybody gets injured, I don't really see them being able to cope with that. Whereas maybe at a Chelsea or at a City, even a Man United, you have more squad depth in order to kind of be able to get away with injuries.
Yeah, 100% agree. Obviously, as I said, their starting 11's great, but their not second 11, but their positions and the quality in their positions isn't good enough in every single position, as the likes of Man City, as the likes of Chelsea, even Manchester United at a push. So yeah, you're totally right. One injury to them could be detrimental to their whole season again. So hopefully, that doesn't happen. But they've got Brentford next, so that's probably looking. They would hope to win that. Yeah, they look good, but again, it's just that one little element that can change everything. They had lots of bad luck last season, like a few clubs did with injuries and the whole COVID situation and Van Dijk's injury. So yeah, I don't think I think they'll get top 4 this season. I just can't see them.
I don't know why the microphone spazzed out at that moment. I was like, what was that?
I just saw it, I can't hear you, like, oh.
Sorry,
yeah, guys. I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll win the league. I think they can probably win a trophy. Maybe the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup or something like that. Not sure about Champions League, but again, it's not too long since they did win it, so no, I wouldn't write them off really at this point.
Yeah, they have a really difficult group stage in the Champions League, where it's definitely the group of death.
It is. 100%.
But I really want to see how they play against other teams in the top 6, because I actually felt like when we did play them, I felt that Chelsea actually played really well, and then it was just like, well, you get sent down to 10 men and you just have to defend for your lives. But I want to see how they play against other teams in the top 6 to see if they get results, because I think that's really going to be the deciding factor for this league. Like, who is able to get results against the other teams to try to get that point advantage. Oh my God, we have so many questions. Jean says, I love your accent. I love it too. Like, it's so, I never get compliments on my accent. Like, it sucks.
It's just American. I hate it. I think I'm used to it, but yeah, I hate it, but thank you.
I just going through the question. This is kind of a good one because, guys, if you don't know, Kendall, massive Atletico fan as well. So she had a stream with me that we just talked about all about Saul. I think that he starts in this cup game. I
Yeah.
think Tuchel's going to give him some minutes, and I think he just wasn't adjusted to the Premier League, like which you can't expect him to be. And we've seen it with so many players that it takes like a year just for them to get adjusted. And then you
Mm-hmm.
see the second year, they start settling in more. So I don't think that we have anything to really be worried about. Maybe we don't. And the other thing is he's on loan. So it's not like you bought him and you
Exactly.
spent all this money. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And he goes back to Atletico. What do you think, Kendall?
Yeah, no, totally agree. I think it was a mistake on Tuchel's part, and he admitted that himself to start him. Only really a few days after he'd signed. I think that was a mistake. However, totally agree with you on the fact that I think he'll start in the cup game. It's a great chance to build his confidence. This cup is probably, I know every team wants to win, but I don't think this cup is going to be Tuchel and Chelsea's focus this year. It's going to be the league, in my opinion, because obviously you guys won the Champions League last season. So yeah, I think he'll start in the cup game. Hopefully, it gives him a little bit of confidence. He just needs to be integrated into the Premier League. I don't think people, if you don't watch La Liga regularly, I don't think people understand just how much of a step up it is to go to the Premier League. Yes, La Liga is probably the second most competitive league in Europe, and the standard of football is extremely high. But just in terms of intensity and the players that you come up against, it's completely and utterly a different kettle of fish in the Premier League. So I think he just needs that time. He needs backing from fans as well, because they need to understand that he's not going to come in and look like next level. He's just not going to. He's not that standard of player. He's at a very high standard, but he's not of the standard where he's just going to light up the Premier League instantly. It's not him. He's just, that's just not him. So hopefully, fans don't get on his back too much. And if he does start in the cup game, it can be a step up for his confidence, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. I think, even Timo Werner said it last season that like the size of the defenders is
Yeah.
just nothing like he's ever faced. The pace, the physicality, it's really difficult. So we just have to be patient with him. It's just normal. Nipun says, question for Kendall. Where do you see Newcastle finishing this season?
Nippon, if I'm honest, actually at this current time, I see us getting relegated. Currently, I don't think we'll finish bottom or anything. I think it'll be between 16th and 18th, and that's where I'm at. If nothing changes over the next few months, that's the only way I can see it really this season.
Time will tell, Kendall. There's still hope. It's still early. It's still early
Time
days.
is a killer. I just wish I had like a future just to tell what was
I
going
know.
to happen. Then I could decide if I was going to be interested or not.
Robert says, you two smash if you hosted Super Sunday and Sky. Kendall Ellie, your IQ is quality. That's the dream, Robbie. That is the
Can you
dream.
imagine
So
us having a show that would be on Sky? That would be amazing. That would be so good.
that would be amazing. I'm just gonna call you Patro. Patro says, Haley, we love your accent too. Thank
Facts,
you.
we
I
do, we
appreciate
do.
it. So we're getting some questions about predictions. So let's move into our predictions
Yeah.
for next week, as we do at the end of the show. So first up, first game of the game week 6, Chelsea versus Man City. It's a big one. Kendall, what you saying?
Yeah, I think Chelsea can win. As again, Tuchel's masterminded Pep for the 3 times in a row now. So what's to say not a fourth. For me, I'm going to go with 2-1 Chelsea. For me,
that's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we don't keep a clean sheet against City. I could see them getting a goal. We perfectly could keep a clean sheet as well, but I do think we're win. So I think it's going to be like a 1-0 or 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully it's like a 2-0 and we can feel it more.
Yeah. Imagine another clean sheet. That would be crazy.
It would be crazy. Oh, oops. I was like clicking as if I was sharing my screen. I'm not sharing my screen. Um, Man United versus Aston Villa. Another interesting one. Villa won 3-0 against Everton at the weekend, so not going to be an easy fixture for United at all. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It obviously again they struggled against Southampton. They've had some quite good games with Aston Villa in recent years. So yeah, again Danny Ings, he always manages to score against certain teams. I mean, he didn't at the weekend, did he? So maybe not. But yeah, I think that'll be a difficult game. To be honest, it's at Old Trafford, so you were kind of push for Manchester United. But I think it'll be a very close game. Again, I would be looking to go maybe 2-1 Man United.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Again, we're just on the same page. I think especially with Ronaldo, it's just like maybe if they didn't have him, I would have said a draw, but I just feel like he gives that extra push.
Yeah.
And he's a game changer, so you just never know what's going to happen. For the next couple of ones, just give a straight score prediction. Leicester versus Burnley.
Ooh, 1-0 Leicester.
Yeah, I agree with that. Everton Norwich.
Got to be Everton. I think 2-0 Everton.
I'm going to be different. I actually was thinking 2-0 as well, but I'll say 2-1 just to be different because we literally had the same score prediction.
To be fair, it's actually quite good that we're agreeing on score predictions because at least we know that we actually on the same page.
It's like reasonable, yeah. Oh, this is an interesting one. Leeds versus West Ham.
West Ham for me, I think. I'm sick of saying 2-1, but I think 2-1 West Ham.
I don't know. I'm gonna go 2-2. I don't know.
Could go either way. That game could totally go either way.
It could really go either way, especially with Leeds. Like, I just feel like Leeds, you just never know what's going to happen. Like, they could win 3-0, they could lose 3-0 against the same opponent. Like,
100%.
You just never know what's going to happen. Watford, Newcastle.
I can't bet us to lose because I just can't. I hate doing that. So, can't see us winning either, though. So, 1-1 for me.
That's what I was thinking. 1-1 as well. Brentford, Liverpool.
Oh, see, Brentford has started quite well, but again, Liverpool just look really strong at the moment as well. So, I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I'm sick of saying 2-1. I'm so sorry, guys. That's so boring because I just keep saying 2-1. But 2-1 Liverpool.
I'm gonna say 2-0. I'm gonna say Liverpool keep a clean sheet.
Liverpool's defense is good as well, so yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Trent Alexander-Arnold will be back. I saw that it was just like an illness thing. They said it wasn't related to anything. But TBD. Southampton Wolves. This is a hard one. I'm gonna go 1-1. I don't know. Arsenal Tottenham.
Yeah, I think that'll be a close one, but I think Arsenal might take it. But I think it's going to be close. So 1-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2-1, but then I was thinking Arsenal, they haven't scored 2 goals yet this season in a game. I'm gonna say 1-1, but I could see Arsenal taking it as well.
Yeah.
And then last one, Crystal Palace Brighton.
Again, that's another one that could be quite close. Crystal Palace didn't start off too well. Brighton have, but Crystal Palace have picked up again now. So, I mean, obviously the Liverpool result was a bit of a different one, but 2-2 maybe. I think 2-2. That's my prediction for that one. Probably totally wrong. I can see Brighton scoring 2, maybe not Crystal Palace, but 2-2.
I'm gonna go 1-1.
Yeah, draw.
You just never know. I always spend hours and hours thinking who's going to score and who's going to play well, who's going to keep a clean sheet for my fantasy team, and it ends up
honestly, FPL drives me insane.
Hours wasted. Honestly, I can't be asked. It's terrible. Well, guys, let us know what you thought of our score predictions. If we were any close, I don't know. We'll have to. I don't know how we did last week.
I was gonna say that's what we should do every week. We should see. Maybe go back over the show, keep track of our predictions, and see how much.
Yeah, that would be really good. We'll have to do that for next week. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to drop it a like. It helps me out so freaking much. And subscribe to the channel. We have this stream every single Monday. Kendall, thank you so much for joining. Your Twitter is there. It's also in the description. Any last things to say to the viewers?
Just thank you guys, because this show has started off so well, and I love this show already. So yeah, thank you for your comments and everything, because obviously it keeps us entertained during the show, and it's not just us rambling on all the time. So yeah, thank you always for the support, and thank you Ellie as well, because I love it.
Aw, I love this show too. It's becoming one of my faves. So guys, thank you so much. Hope you enjoy. If you have anything else that you think that you want to hear us talk about, like let us know in the comments below. Like we're always open to subject to suggestions. It's getting late, guys. It's 9 p.m. and I can't talk. I hope that you enjoyed this show. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And until next time, we're out.